As promised, that's our special focus this hour, coming in from Maldives, where the army has locked down the country's parliament after the opposition vowed to move ahead with a vote against a key ally of President Abdullah Yameen. Now, defiant lawmakers, however, scaled meter-high walls to the parliament compound on Monday after fighting off riot police and pepper spray. The opposition secured enough support from government defectors to begin impeachment proceedings against Speaker Abdullah Mashe. Earlier this month, they accused Mashe of ignoring allegations of corruption, mismanagement and rights abuses. In March, the opposition's attempt to impeach Speaker Abdullah Mashe had ended in chaos, with the army removing some lawmakers from parliament. The vote was initially scheduled for Monday, but the ruling party declared the motion invalid after Yameen announced that 4 of the defectors had lost their parliamentary seats. For more perspective on this, let's go straight across to WION senior editor Padma Rao joining us from the newsroom. Padma, what do you make of these unprecedented scenes that we witnessed today coming in from the parliament?
Well, Molly, this is unprecedented in the sense that this was a rather surprising and sudden move to have this, impeachment motion discussed today in Parliament and indeed passed, because the opposition leaders were in the interim joined by a growing number of defectors from President Yameen's own grouping. So, but that it happened, and that padlocks were put on Parliament, and that there was armed police that followed those people who managed to scale the walls and get inside and drag them out again, that they were dressed in riot gear. These are scenes that the Maldives has seen before. Indeed, this has happened even during President Nasheed, the ousted elected President Mohammad Nasheed's time. He has been, on many occasions dragged and slammed behind bars and literally, physically manhandled by the police. So there is a growing, situation, an alarming situation that seems to be growing rapidly in the Maldives, and it really remains to be seen what support, if at all, President Yameen is left with. As he said this morning, 4 of those defected persons who would have, added up to the numbers who wanted to impeach the speaker, that 4 of them have returned to his fold. But we don't know under what conditions they returned to his fold, whether under coercion, whether forcibly. So right now, it is a very grim situation in the Maldives. You have a president who is facing 4 opposition parties, including, and all these are led by the former elected President Nasheed, but also his own half-brother, who is also a former president.
All right, Padma, also we know for a fact that this opposition or the criticism to Mashe goes back. If you can take our viewers through why is it that that's a kind of criticism that the speaker has been attracting?
Well, the speaker is, President Yameen has practically filled all important positions with those close to him or those loyal to him. It started with the Chief Justice of the Maldives, in fact, and it is, now also the speaker, who has repeatedly, according to the opposition members who wanted to impeach him, repeatedly ignored charges of corruption and human rights abuse against, any members whom he chose to.
Yes, go ahead, Padma.
Yeah, sorry, we got cut off. So the reason they wanted to impeach the speaker, and indeed there are many such people in important positions in the Maldives, because they enjoy a certain closeness to President Yameen. So it has become a kind of a coterie that rules the Maldives, a very tiny clutch of people who are close to the president, and the president himself and his family are, have been facing serious charges of nepotism and corruption ever since he came to power. And indeed, even even the way he came to power was not exactly kosher, not legal, and certainly not constitutional in keeping with the constitution of the Maldives. As I said, it was President Nasheed who was the democratically elected president of the Maldives, but he was removed on several pretexts, and he now lives in exile in Sri Lanka. And you know, it is a tense situation, but I think the ring is closed, the circle is closing in on President Yameen.
Padma, also you've been tracking the situation in Maldives for the longest time. Given the fact that the scenes have reached a boiling point in a way today inside Parliament, pepper spray, the parliamentarians scaling walls of the Parliament complex, where do you, in your assessment, see things headed from here?
Well, the thing that we have to be most concerned about is the two, there are two very, very big and influential countries backing the government of President Yameen. One is Saudi Arabia, which President Yameen is said to be very close to. They have indeed bought, you know, atolls in the islands, in the archipelago of the Maldives. They have come there with all kinds of plans. Ostensibly, they were here for constructing hotels, like many people do in the Maldives. But eventually, you know, it turned out that they were more interested in spreading their brand of Wahhabi Islam in the Maldives. They quietly began to take over curricula, they quietly began to take over institutions, and they began to introduce a dress code. Now, let's not forget the Maldives has always been a conservative Islamic nation, but it's been a very tolerant Islamic nation. However, the developments of the last few years have been rather alarming, and perhaps a reflection on this growing Saudi influence. The largest number of youth who left South Asia to join the Islamic State were from the Maldives. Now, that is one sign. The other country that is wielding enormous influence in the Maldives is China. The Maldives is part of China's One Belt, One Road initiative, and in fact, for many decades, even before the One Belt, One Road initiative, there was talk that the Chinese have leased an atoll in the southern part of the Maldives, the Gan Atoll, where they are said to have set up nuclear submarine bases. So the Chinese influence and the Chinese link with the Maldives goes back a long way, but it's one that has become much, much more visible now, as indeed it has in Sri Lanka. Now, the Chinese, as you know, have a debt trap diplomacy that follows this One Belt, One Road initiative. So the Maldives, Sri Lanka certainly is in trouble, and the Maldives is likely to also be that vis-a-vis China. So these two countries wield enormous influence. So whatever happens in the Maldives and to President Yameen, whether they do so openly or not, they are bound to play a role behind the scenes.
Right, stay with us please, Padma. Also getting in further inputs and perspectives from Abdullah Shahid, Member of Parliament from Maldives, who's joining us over the phone line. Appreciate your joining us here on the broadcast. First up, explain to us what exactly transpired inside the Parliament complex today.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to talk to you today. This morning, the Parliament doors were bedlocked by the military to prevent the members of Parliament, opposition members of Parliament, from entering the Parliament House. There are no confidence motion on the Speaker who was to be scheduled. We, however, went to the Parliament. We were initially prevented by the military from entering the House. But at a later stage, we did enter the House, and we were there for about 20-30 minutes. The police and the military, they stormed the House, pepper sprayed, used tear gas and batons, and forcibly dragged all opposition members outside the House. And we were pushed out. Some of the members suffered injuries. Some are still being attended at the hospital. It's a very sad day for the democratic process in the Maldives. Basically, the institution of Parliament has been taken over by the military today.
So we understand that things have reached this point because of the criticism that the Speaker has attracted and the fact that the members of Parliament have not been allowed to speak up against him. Explain to us, do you see this as also a way to silence opposition against the President in a way?
Well, the opposition initially did not have a majority in the House, but over 10 members of the government party has switched on to the opposition, and we control full majority of the House now. Since we obtained the majority of the House, the government, through its influence in the Elections Commission and the Supreme Court, has come out with a ruling from the Elections Commission that 6 members of the House have been disqualified as members. The Constitution is very clear on how a member can be disqualified as a sitting member. The Elections Commission has no role, the Parliament has no role in deciding this fact. Only the Supreme Court has the power to make a ruling on this matter. The cases of these 6 members are pending in the Supreme Court. We have appealed. However, because the opposition controls the majority now, the government is determined to make sure that the opposition never gets a majority in the House, so that we will be able to look into the corruption and money laundering and other abuses of the current regime.
All right, stay with us, please, sir. Our senior editor from the newsroom, Padma Rao, would also like to pose a question to you. Padma, it's indeed a sorry state of affairs when we're looking at an institution of the parliament, in a way, witnessing such chaotic scenes.
Yes, I'd really be interested in asking Mr. Shahid, who's joining us from the Maldives. First of all, hats off to you, sir, for all the bravery that was displayed by your colleagues today. Now, you say that several of them are in hospital. They have been injured. There was riot police in the parliament. Now, all these are unconstitutional, of course. But what exactly were you hoping to achieve, sir? Surely, you know, there have been precedents. This happened even in 2008 and subsequently after Mr. Nasheed was treated, you know, quite sort of physically manhandled by the police. So if you knew that was coming, would you say that this attempt to impeach the speaker was had more symbolic value to show the world just how much the situation has deteriorated in the Maldives? What was the main purpose and intention? Or did you actually think that you would be allowed into Parliament and you would manage to impeach the speaker?
Well, we have come to a point where we had 2 choices. One is to throw up our arms in the air and say nothing can be done. When we face a dictatorial government like ours now, we know that we will not be able to succeed in the first attempt or the second attempt. Nevertheless, if we give up, we do not see any progress in the work to regain the lost momentum of democracy in this country. Therefore, the members of the opposition, united opposition, came out today. The members were, as you said, very brave in facing the military. We knew that we would be pepper sprayed. We knew that we would be dragged out. We knew that we would be manhandled. As far as I know, as we speak, we still have 1 member of parliament being treated in the house, in one of the hospitals. Several others were taken to the hospital, and they were treated for different degrees of injuries.
All right, stay with us, please, sir, and also requesting Padma to stay on with us. Also joining us in the broadcast is Ahmed Malouf, also current MP for the Galulu South constituency in Maldives. Coming to you, sir, for a perspective, we do understand that this is a sad state for democracy, that we're looking at the parliament, the lockdown in parliament and members of parliament also being attacked with pepper spray. But what sort of protests are you planning from here on?
Thank you very much. Actually, we have reached to a point that we would never give up. You know, we are very motivated. We are very energetic at this point. So there's no way President Yamin is going to stop us from this. But see, I was recently released from jail on 9th of June. I spent 11 months in jail just according to, I obstructed the duty of the police. But still, from the day I was released, I didn't give up. I feel like to work more. It was. I know that the days I spent in jail was really hard. It was difficult to be away from my family, especially to be away from my 4-year-old daughter. It was very painful. But still, I don't want to give up because I know that our target, our goal is really like inches away. But still, we understand it's going to be very rough. So today, what we saw is a part of it. It's not only this. The Deputy Speaker of Parliament is jailed for 25 years. Our Deputy Speaker is jailed for 25 years. Plus, one MP is right now saying during the end of this court case, it is done.
Right.
And a lot of intimidation is on us, but still none of the MPs with us. It is very difficult. And we are very confident that inshallah there will be more of them joining us from President Yamin's section. Right now we have a very clear majority with 45, and we are very confident we will be able to reach 50 or plus votes if we are going to if we get the opportunity to vote in Parliament. And
Right.
we really hope that we will be able to increase President Yamin's implement.
So this is a sample of the kind of protest and the opposition that the MPs have been raising against the Speaker, but in a way also in the manner in which their voices have been silenced using pepper spray and using all sorts of force. We are looking at these scenes from the Parliament in a way unprecedented. Of course, the action that was triggered earlier on as well has not seen a final culmination, which is why we are seeing angered scenes both outside and inside Parliament as well. We're going to leave it there for the moment. Abdullah Shahid and Ahmed Galouf, appreciate your joining us on the broadcast for more on this. Also, thank you very much to Padma Rao for joining us for more on that.